Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 4 of the Queen's Cross podcast. I am your host, Alex.
And I'm your co-host, Shiloh.
And this is like the upteenth time we've recorded this intro. I apologize in advance for any weirdness my camera has. It's doing something really funky, and I don't really know what's going on. And I'm sure next time we do a podcast, it'll be working all over again. So I have no idea. But in any case, we have an interesting video for you today, and I'll go ahead and put the schedule up on the screen. And basically, you can see that for the main topic today, the main topic is the news this time. And so basically we have a lot to talk about when it comes to the stuff that's been happening since the last time we did a podcast. And at the very end, we'll do a trivia game. I didn't get any questions from anybody in the comments on the last video, so I really don't have anything for a Q&A for you guys today. Yeah, I'm sure we can make a full episode out of this. But one of the first things in the news that I wanted to show you guys was the first class drawing room, which for the longest time on the Queen Mary was the Starboard shop. Is that right?
Yeah.
And, people have been saying for years, they should do something else with this, make it look a bit more like it used to as the drawing room. And they've gone and done it. I think on our last podcast, we actually showed a picture of that they threw away some of the shelving for the shop to make to make way for the artwork. And so they've gone and done it. We were there.
Well, when you and I were there, we also saw that they were doing the work as we were there.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, I remember some of the windows being covered with like a
black tarp.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's really exciting, I think. And basically all the artwork that's in there is stuff that was previously all over the ship from various different locations. I'm only just now noticing in one of the pictures that the other Madonna of the Atlantic, the one from the second class.
The Madonna of Tall Ships.
Yeah. Is that what it's called? The Madonna of Tall Ships.
I'm pretty sure, yeah.
Yeah, so that's pretty interesting, but the Madonna of the Atlantic, now do you want to talk a bit about that, because that just returned to its original location?
Right, sure. Returned, like you just said, to where it was originally when the ship was a operating ship under Cunard, and to see that painting back in that room is just fantastic. And along with the other artwork pieces that they put in there too. But for the longest time, that's been in storage, hasn't been seen. All that we could see of it was, prints and photographs of it. But to actually see it in person, I haven't seen it yet. I still want to see it. But, to actually be able to see it in person is great.
And but the drawing room could be converted into a Catholic chapel, as well as a Protestant chapel for Sunday services. And so the Madonna of the Atlantic was hidden behind a folding wall, which had artwork of its own on it at one point. But yeah, so the drawing room now is they call it the Queen Mary Art Gallery and Museum. And they will be selling kind of like high-end artsy based merchandise as well. So it's not going to be filled with merchandise like it was before. All the merchandise that was in that shop was transferred over to the shop on the opposite side, which is inside the library. But they will have kind of some artsy looking merchandise for sale.
They've been selling prints already of the ship and postcards that they've enlarged and printed on. I think can't think of the name of the paper right now, but it's expensive paper. It's not just printer paper. And I think that's the store that they're probably going to be prioritizing selling that kind of thing in, rather.
But I'd also like to have a printout of the next artwork we're going to talk about, which is in the first class main lounge. and it is called Unicorns in Battle. And so we've been talking about this since January because with the help of QMI Restore the Queen, the Queen Mary Hotel has been able to get the artwork, the Unicorns in Battle, refurbished. Now, I will show on the screen a before and after. And basically, with the before, I know it doesn't at first look like there's much of a difference. Because even I was, when I first saw the recent photos, I was like, well, what did they do? But when you look at the before image, it's in a lot worse condition. And what was mainly wrong with it was, well, you see, the artwork was carved out of red gesso, and then it was painted with a lighter color like white gesso, and then some ivory paint colors and stuff like that. And then certain parts of it were gilded with silver and gold leaf. And so the artwork you see on the surface is these different shades of white and cream, but underneath was the red gesso. And so you used to be able to see that people had touched the artwork so much over the years that they wore away the white gesso and the paint, and you could see the red coming up from underneath, especially for some reason in the upper parts of the artwork where no one could reach. I don't know how those got damaged, but they did. And so that kind of damage is now gone. It's been repaired, and from what I know, the silver and gold leaf has been shined up and cleaned, and then the rest of the painting supposedly was cleaned. Now, I say supposedly, and I'm going to just venture my opinion here, because when I look at the artwork, it doesn't necessarily look clean. You know, one of the first things I said to Shiloh when I saw the reveal wasn't it supposed to be whiter? And, you know, we both were kind of like, yeah, I thought it was supposed to be whiter. Now, I don't personally have a very clear color photocopy of what it looked like, you know, in the days when the ship was sailing.
Even print and magazines from the 30s, they can be unreliable because that could have faded too. Or the color levels that they use to print that could be inaccurate. So
there's a possibility, because you see, when you look at some of the parts of Unicorns in Battle today that you might go, well, that's still dirty, because again, that's the first thing I thought. But when you really look at it, it could be shading that the artist put in it. You know, the artist was Gilbert Bays and Alfred Oakley, and I believe it was Oakley that did the majority of the work.
I think so. I think you're right.
Well, anyway, yeah, but yeah. So a lot of the stuff that, you know, you might say, oh, well, that, you know, that's parts of the carving that's dirty. It might actually be shading that he put in to make sure it stands out.
And the actual picture from the phone camera could be distorting it too, just a little bit.
Yeah, that too. Yeah,
I see it to know.
Yeah, you know, and then I think the artist meant for you to see a texture. It's not meant to be flat and smooth. There's supposed to be a texture to the artwork. Yeah, so that's basically, I just wanted to explain that to people in case they look at the painting and go, well, it doesn't look very different. It doesn't look clean. It might be intended to look that way, because these were very professional, licensed people who cleaned and restored the paint, the carving. And if something was left behind, it probably was because they deemed that the artist intended for it to look that way. Well, why don't I actually just show you guys what I'm doing? Aha, there we go. So I'm on the current condition page, and we can kind of go down. There's like a list here, and it tells us, you know, what we want to see. But and then I also wanted to mention that so the cost of the restoration was $30,000. QMI Restore the Queen had raised $25,500 of that money and paid for the restoration. And from what I hear, the difference of the cost, will be paid for by the Queen Mary Hotel. and with some contributions by the Queen Mary Heritage Foundation, although I haven't seen them create any kind of fundraiser for it yet, so I'm not really sure what they plan to do. But I think the hotel will probably end up paying the rest.
Probably.
Yeah. So and so all the photos are courtesy of Kiyomiya Restore the Queen, by the way. So all the photos you guys saw about that, Kiyomiya Restore the Queen. The next bit of news I wanted to mention. Oh, I didn't even mention this either. The outside of the main hall got new signage for the main hall is now called, main lounge is now called Queen's Salon. It's been called that since the ship came to Long Beach, but there's new signage out front and stuff for it, so it kind of makes the entrance look a bit nicer, you know. The next thing on the news, and these photos are from Joe E.B. on Facebook. So I believe Joe E.B. is one of the administrators of the Photos of RMS Queen Mary page,
right,
the group. Yeah. So yeah, courtesy of him for showing these photos. But basically, there are new doors on the Verandah Grill. And I don't know if you guys remember what the last doors looked like. I don't believe they were original, but they were very worn out and beat up. Like, the weather really took its toll. And they were, I think, solid wood doors, the last ones.
I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, and so finally they've been replaced. You know, again, they're not original to the ship. I think they probably dated back to the 70s. So,
yeah.
But they have finally been replaced by these new, they appear to be steel doors that have a faux veneer that makes it look like wood. And so they actually look kind of nice. And yeah, I like it. And you were there the day that they removed the doors, right?
Well, I was there when I think they probably had just installed the doors, because the original ones were laid on the deck, like against a vent. Both of them. Mm-hmm. I should have taken a picture of them. I didn't, but yeah. So I think I know.
The next bit of news is the third funnel. Unfortunately, the third funnel is peeling again. And this actually kind of makes me really, not stressed, but bummed out, because, you know, for the longest time, like when I first started covering Queen Mary news on my channel way back in like 2021, the third funnel was a topic on my channel over and over again, because at that time, it had been peeling so badly that you couldn't help but notice it, even from a distance, like quite a distance from the ship.
Right.
And that had stemmed from the last time they painted the funnels, when they went from orange to red. The company that painted the funnels, by the time they got to the third funnel, it was a really hot, dry day.
Yeah.
And the paint did not stick to the surface of the funnel. And the funnel is made of stainless steel. A lot of people think it's aluminum. It's stainless steel. But yeah, it didn't stick to the stainless steel. And so it chipped really badly over time. And then finally, I believe it was 2020. Well, it was last year, wasn't it? 2024.
Yeah, because they primed the funnel to it being all gray, and then they painted it again.
Yes, it was early 2024. I want to say January when they started work on. I think
that's about right. Yeah.
Yeah. And what's really cool, and I'll put pictures on the screen for you guys, but they had actually done the work. They completely stripped the funnel down to the metal. They applied what?
They primed it.
They primed it. Yes, they applied a proper primer, and then after that they painted it. And I don't believe they painted it on a hot day. It was a warm day when they painted it, but
not in comparison to previous weather. Yeah.
yeah. And the funnel lasted for, a good 10, 11 months.
Yeah.
But then it started to chip. Yeah, well, you look at the red on the first two funnels, and it's faded with the sun, but it's held.
It's fine. Yeah.
So it is a bit stressing because, they paid all this money. I think it was like close to the sum of like just over $200,000 possibly for that. But anyway, they paid all this money to get that funnel repainted and to get it done properly. And they were hoping, this funnel will last us 5 years or something, with the sun. But it hasn't lasted that long. And we honestly don't know when they will have the money again to get that painted all over again. They can try painting the parts that flake off, but if it's anything like what happened last time, it won't stick,
Right.
Like what happened last time, you would see that they would paint whatever flakes off, and then that would flake off.
Yeah.
They could even be using the wrong paint, because when the Queen Mary was in service, they would use a marine grade paint. Maybe this isn't even marine grade. Maybe it's like the kind of paint that, you'd paint the outside of a building with.
Or like outdoor decking paint or something.
Yeah, stuff like that.
Yeah.
It could be the wrong kind of paint. I don't know. Anyway, so why don't we get to the trivia game, which we've already been recording for an hour, so I hope it's not a lot to edit down. But we'll try to get through the trivia game as quickly as possible. So, Mr. Shiloh, the artist Alfred Thompson created what work and where is it? Is it A, the limewood panels in the first class smoking room, B, the bronze doors in the first class restaurant, or C, the painting, I can't see because my camera's in the way, the painting in the observation bar?
It's C, the painting in the observation bar, and that painting is called Royal Jubilee Week.
Good work. I was going to make that a two-part question and ask you what the name of it was, but you got it.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So that is correct, mister. What is your first question to me?
My first question is, it's an open-ended question. So when you look at the forward superstructure of the Queen Mary, the wedding cake, as they call it, when you look at it in today's, in Long Beach era, and you look at it back in her service era, what is the one thing that you can notice that is different between those two?
The one thing you can notice very quickly about between the service era and Long Beach era is that on the sun deck level, the forward windows have been elongated to make for a brighter room. They have a big room there. Today they call it the tea room.
Yeah.
But yeah, those windows used to be square. Now they're big, long rectangles.
Right. And I don't know if that kind of plays a trick on when you look at it, if it makes the wedding cake more stretched upwards, if that makes sense. You know what I mean?
I think it does.
Yeah. Because before I knew about that, I always thought something looks different, something looks off. And I realized, it's the windows. The windows are, skinny and they're longer. So I'm like, okay, that makes sense, because I know for a fact they didn't change the actual structure of the ship. So yeah,
it definitely helps to make the ship's wedding cake feature look a bit taller.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I kind of like those windows. I like, that they're elongated. Some people don't like that. Like, they should return it to the original size. I'm like,
I like both. I don't know.
Yeah.
I like the original look, but I also do like the like you said, the longer look.
So my next question to you is this for you? Yeah, this is for you. True or false? engineers originally wanted to give RMS Queen Mary an enlarged version of Aquitania's hull design.
That is true. That is true. And what an interesting ship that would have made, huh?
That certainly would. I'll put on the screen a picture of what that looked like, because a lot of people don't believe that, but that is actual concept art for the original Queen Mary. Again, this is before they even drew up engineering plans. They were coming up with a concept of what Queen Mary would look like. And
that probably would have been around like 1923, 24.
Yes, that long ago. Yeah, it would have been about 1923, 1924, 25. You know, they would have designed that concept, and the idea was to just enlarge Aquitania, or the Aquitania hull design, and then, you know, make it a
turn.
Yeah. So, but yeah, she would have had a clipper stern. So weird.
Isn't that kind of crazy to think that the concept of the Queen Mary is older than 100 years?
Yes, that is really weird, because even the Olympic class ships, I mean, weren't they only barely like started being designed, like not even like 5 years
prior?
Before. Yeah,
because I mean, they came out in the Olympics maiden voyage was 1911.
Yeah.
So, yeah, and then she was obviously the first of the class. So, in 1911 was when, you know, they pretty much had their first Olympic class liner. So, yeah.
Yeah, pretty crazy.
And they didn't last very long. They lasted to the 30s because of
one of them lasted to the 30s.
Yeah. Yeah, but
so. What's your second question for me?
My second question is, in what year and what ship was the last ship to fly the Cunard White Star House flags?
Oh, man. Okay. What year and what ship was the last ship to fly the Cunard House flags? You know, I'm going to say RMS Queen Elizabeth.
That's right. And you know what year?
That would have to... Well, she retired in 68, so I'm going to say 1968.
Yep, that was the last ship to fly both the Cunard and White Star House flags.
Wow. That's crazy.
And it's crazy to think that's almost the 70s.
Yeah, that is. I mean, yeah, 1968 really is not like, you know, not really that long ago when you really think about it.
Not really, no.
And, you know, and still flying the Cunard White Star House flags.
Yeah.
Jeez. Yeah, so the last question is for the audience. And audience, this is an interesting question for you guys. Okay, so audience, what's the combined length of all the decorative wood panels originally installed on RMS Queen Mary? I'll give you a hint. The information is on rmsqmwiki.org, our website. Plug for you. Ow. Plug for you guys.
Who can find it first?
Huh?
Who can find it first?
Yeah, exactly. Who can find it first? There is a search engine on the website, you guys. You don't have to check the long way if you don't want to. But I'm not going to read because I can't even, my camera is literally in the way, so I can't read it. Because there's like an A, B, and C answer. And so I'll just let you guys decide that for yourselves. Because I can't read it. But yeah, so what's the combined length of all the decorative wood paneling originally installed on RMS Queen Mary? And the hint is that it's on rmsqmwiki.org. Thank you, everyone, for joining us. This has definitely been a long recording. Hopefully, I can edit it down to a decent length.
Yeah.
But,
we were worried we didn't have enough content.
Yeah, we were. We were literally worried that we wouldn't have enough to talk about today. But we did. We had a lot. So thank you again, everybody, for joining us. And we will see you all next time. Bye-bye.
Bye.